said something about how failure is an opportunity.
Yeah.
If you look back at your life, when are moments where you recognize that? Because in the moment, that is like not always easy to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, it takes a lot of like picking yourself back up. You know, when your first failure, like the first time I failed, like Mission Chinese Food opened in New York, it was like the hottest restaurant ever, and like we didn't know how to run a restaurant. We didn't know how to like operate a business. I was a good line cook, I thought, and like I was like, let's open a restaurant in New York. We didn't know how to navigate New York, so we ended up getting like from day one, like we were getting like hammered on by like the building department, the health department, and eventually we got shut down. We got closed by the health department. Like that's like the worst thing that can happen as a restaurant, you know. And I laugh about it now, but at the time you're like, oh, that's it. My life is over. This is my livelihood. This is my brand. This is everything I've worked so hard for. And you realize that like, you have to look at these things as an opportunity. It was never meant to last. Like, if I look back at Mission Chinese Food on Orchard Street, like that, I don't know if anyone went to that restaurant, but it was like a party in a dorm room with like 100 people. It was insane. There was like a keg of beer that we just gave out for free because people were waiting for 4 hours. It was just like, it was like a tinderbox, like waiting to catch fire.
Right.
And it did. But like, and it took about 3 years to learn, to look at it, laugh at it, and be like, if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't be able to sit here and do this now.
Yeah.
And so you look at these kind of, those moments, like failures that are just kind of like, I'm happy to have experienced failures like that because it means I took a huge risk.
Right.
And it means that, you know, maybe the risk, it paid off in many ways, it didn't, but you get to learn, a lot in those moments. That's like, it's like exercise, right? Like, when you're exercising, you can just phone it in. Like if I go to SoulCycle a lot, if you just like, you can like ride and like not do anything, but unless you're putting the resistance on, you're not really getting a workout. And in those moments when it hurts and it sucks and you're like, I'm done, that's when you're actually growing. And I think that's what failure is. Failure is the opportunity to grow and to get stronger. And in these times of transition through failure, that's when you actually develop the muscle and get stronger. So.
Did you feel like throwing in the towel at that point? Or like, and then what inside of you kept it, like, made you keep it moving?
I think inside of me, there's always been this like innate, like, I'm restless, you know? And I think maybe that has a lot to do with me being adopted and like not knowing where I'm from or not having a connection with my real family. But I think it's about, like, I've never been like, I quit, for better or worse, you know? As I get older, there are moments where I'm like, yeah, maybe it is time to like stop doing this. Like, you know, like stop pursuing something, stop pursuing a relationship with someone or like, a business relationship with someone. You know, I've had many different business partners and like professional working relationships with different chefs, and like I'm starting to realize when it becomes a detriment to my own happiness and creativity. So I think that that's like a really important lesson I've learned. But I've never like said at that moment I was like, I want to quit. I just wanted to get back up. I mean, I really want to pick myself back up and like get back at it and get back to where I was. And then because I feel like even now, like as I said here, like Mission Chinese is not even come close to realizing its full potential, you know, because we've been learning, like jumping through all these hoops, you know, in New York, but, you know.
So even after like you've won awards and you have an Emmy nomination, do you still feel like you have something to prove, or are you able to kind of relax and like take it in, or are you just always reaching for something?
I'm trying to become more present in the moment of like, of what's happening. You know, if I look back, like when I watched Mind of a Chef, I was like, oh my God, that happened. Like, I can't believe it. I don't remember I was like the world pesto champion. But because in those moments, I was just freaked out. I didn't really know how to handle like the expectation. Like there was just this white heat, and it was like this expectation that came along with that. And I was always just I'm a people pleaser. Like I think a lot of restaurateurs and chefs are in this business because they want to make people happy. I think that's kind of gotten in the way of me understanding and like appreciating my own success. But I think cutting a lot of things out of my life that would help me, that were coping mechanisms for that a lot of chefs and creatives turn to, like alcohol, drugs, you know, like that kind of stuff. I don't do that anymore. And it's helping me become more like present in the moment of what's happening. And like, yeah, the Emmy thing is big, but I always kind of deflect. I'm like, oh, that's amazing, but I gotta go do this thing now.
Yeah.
And just kind of stopping and taking it in is important.
With your new restaurant opening up, how is that pressure different? How is that different than, I guess, maybe?
It's good. It's a good pressure.
Yeah.
You know, I think when we open, so every moment we've opened a restaurant in New York, it's been under like immense expectation and like pressure and stress and fear. Like I was always scared. I was like, what are we gonna do? When we came here from San Francisco, and it was like almost you had this target on your back. I was just very naive. I didn't see it at the moment, but now my friends were all like, everyone was like hoping you would fail. They're like, there's no way like Mission is gonna, like San Francisco restaurant in New York, and we killed it. Like we crushed, and like, but I was out of just fear, and so that was on the heels of getting shut down, Mission Chinese getting shut down. So then it's like people, they had to write us off and be like, oh, it's whatever, you know, we're flawed, right? And then we reopened Mission Chinese Food here, and you know, then we had to prove ourselves again. It was like, everyone was like, well, will it be as good as One Orchard Street, or like, and of course, it's like better. But so I think now, to answer your question, with Mission Chinese opening in Bushwick, it's clean slate. Yeah, it's just a clean slate. It's like we're not doing it for the critics. We're not doing it to regain anything. We're doing it for ourselves. We're doing it for the community in Bushwick. We're doing it to support this community. It's in front of a music venue. It's like, it makes sense. It makes sense for us. It's not like we're doing something for anyone else. Yeah. And so I think the pressure's there. It's a good pressure though. It's like we're stoked. Like we're getting to like do something, not as an act of recovery. It's as an act of like pushing it forward. Yeah.
Do you get nervous when critics come in? Like,
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
do you know they're there?
Of course. Yeah, of course. You know, everyone knows. It's like this thing. You know they're there. There's a poster downstairs with everyone's face on it. There's like, in New York, there's like 100 people. It's like, I mean, Adam Platt from New York Magazine, when we opened Mission Canteen, they came in the first day we were open. You know what I mean? It's just like, but who cares anymore? Like, do people actually care? I mean, I think people can make up their minds. With social media, it's like, you know, I don't think it has the power it used to. I mean, I respect it. I respect critics. I respect their opinions. But I'm kind of like, what do you know? Like, you're one person, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. Even my opinion, people are like, what's the best thing in New York? I'm like, I don't know. This is what I like, but I don't know if it's the best. I mean, if a restaurant sucks, if it's like bad, then it's bad. But like, we're not doing that. We're trying to make it really good. So we're not cooking for the critics this time around. They'll come if they want, and we'll serve them, and we'll probably do the whole song and dance thing. It's this dance you do. You act like you don't know them, you know them. I mean, you talk to them on the phone, they fact check. I've talked to Pete Wells on the phone probably 4 times now with 4 restaurants. You know, it's like, ideally, the critics identify the fact that we're like not trying to open a restaurant for that. It's really for everybody. They can be involved. Everyone should be involved. It's not like we're trying to get a certain rating or stars, like, you know. I pray for the day that we get a Michelin star so I can hand it back to them. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, like, I think that this whole industry has been driven by like this like critical analysis that people almost like, they're like, it dictates how you run a restaurant and your creative path, and like, it doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't make sense to me.
You said something like, you don't care about being the best, you know, as long as you're having fun and doing something different and something unique. Yeah. And I think that totally comes.
It's just being genuine. Yeah. It's being genuine. Like, if you're making this restaurant just for critical acclaim, just to get like 2 Michelin stars, it's gonna taste like a restaurant that was made to get 2 Michelin stars. And that doesn't excite me. I don't think it excites a lot of people anymore. I think that people want to have a genuine experience that's heartfelt, that you can feel like real emotion and real like thought. Not to say that that doesn't go on in these other restaurants, but I just think times are changing. Yeah. You know? The
one question we do always ask is, if you could have a drink with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be, and like where would it be?
Oh my God, on the spot. I didn't know this was the question. I don't know, what was your answer first while I think about
Don't even try to flip it around on me, because whenever people do flip it around, I'm like, I don't know.
I'm putting you on Front Street over here. I don't know, it's a good question. I think Prince would have been amazing to like, because he was this, you know, Prince was like probably the sickest musician of all time. Like, was just like, people didn't really know, like, made amazing music, made insane music, great hit, like top like hits of all time, but also like could play like so many instruments, and like it was just such an innovative, like a visionary. So yeah. Great answer. Would you want it to be? Where would you want to have this take place? Whatever Prince wants. Anyway, you'll go to Prince. Yeah, he can decide. Prince decides. Yeah. Well, cheers to you and your success, and everyone who came out. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening. Yeah, cheers.